Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey Croson here from the Performance Lab of California, and we have another new breakdown for you today on Usain Bolt and his 200-meter world record. I thought that this would be a cool one just because I see so many videos about Usain Bolt and his 100-meter and just his overall sprinting. So I thought, doing the 200-meter would be something a little bit different, and it's still something that I think people would be able to get some good information from. So, big thing that just stands out when you watch this video of Usain Bolt is just how much taller he is than the average person, which gives him such a great advantage in creating overall turnover. But I do think there are some good things that we can get from his, overall start and just his mechanics in general. So you can see here, really putting a big focus on knee drive, right, and really coming in the start. And I like this in, you can see a lot of these guys do this in their start, where that initial movement is almost like an inward movement with the knee to give a little bit more range for their leg to be able to come through. See how he's kind of coming out to in here, which gives them a little bit more force production as they're pushing down into the ground, which seems to be you can see that here as well, seems to be a positive way to be able to, generate force as you're beginning to start. So I think that's a good little nugget just to take just to start this off. Sorry about the quality of the video, by the way. This was the best video that we can get from the Olympics. This was in 2012, so it was a little bit longer, good amount of time ago. But anyway, you go through the actual video here, so we got a little pause. And you can see what stands out is just his ability to really, so you can see like some of the other guys are really trying to reach and create a large amount of distance on each one of their sets, which is what you want to be doing, where Usain Bolt doesn't look like he needs to reach as far, but he's still picking up the same amount of overall distance just because of how long his legs are. So, really being able to understand that this phase, that when you're first starting off, it's really about trying to improve your overall length of each one of your steps. So you really want to be able to take a good amount of stride distance, and then as you start to, improve your overall stride distance, then you start to, get into overall speed and get the legs faster. So I'd say, first couple steps, 3 to 5 steps, you really want to be focused on, more turnover speed, right? So you want to be cycling the legs a little bit sooner, a little bit faster. Okay, and then after you get through those first 3 to 5 steps, then it really wants to be about stride length, right? So you're still not at top speed in terms of stride frequency, but those first 3 to 5 steps, you don't want to put too much focus on stride length, or else it's going to really impact your ability to generate very much speed. So here you want to be pretty quick, and then as you start to get that quickness, you maintain a good position within your spine. Now you start to transition into going a little bit more stride length for probably the next, from I'd say maybe like next 5 to 10 steps, depending on height and how you transition through. And then from there, then you really get back into improving turnover and improving how fast your legs are traveling. So you can see that all these guys are really focusing on length, and especially in the 200 where you're talking about going around that curve, you really want to be focusing on lengthening out that stride. And then as you get close to ending that curve is when you're going to end up really putting on the boosters in terms of overall stride frequency. One of the things that I noticed with how Usain Bolt's running is he kind of keeps more of his, he kind of stays a little bit more on the outside part of the lane here as he's coming around, and then as he gets closer, he starts to get more and more to the inside part of the lane, which I like. They're in comparison to some of these other guys, here where they're just staying hard to the inside part of the lane all the way through, which I think puts a little bit more stress on that inside leg, that left leg, as you're running, in comparison to, if you stay a little bit wider here, and then as you start coming around, then you start going to the inside part of the lane. I think that'll help you in getting a little bit smoother of a turn overall and not put as much pressure on that left leg. Now, this is the part where I really love just from this camera angle, is we can really see how good of a job that Usain Bolt does in his overall mechanics, where you can see him really being able to extend very well off in each one of those legs. So look at that knee drive, creating that extension. Then as he gets that knee up, notice that the next thing that really ends up happening is he very rapidly gets this leg to be able to straighten out as he pulls that knee back, right? So it's knee up and then pull that leg back, and as he's pulling that leg back, he's also straightening out that leg, right? So see how that foot almost like reaches forward, and that gives him that pull to be able to land. And when he's landing, he's almost landing in a way that makes it so he's like propelling his body up over the top of him, right? See how that's happening right there? And then goes and pushes out. So now he doesn't spend very much time on the ground. He's very, very quick to be able to transition, because look how he's interacting with the ground. He's extending, pulling right here. So as he pulls, now you can see how much of his overall weight is really pushing himself forward. So now he doesn't have to be very far behind him here before he can drive off that back leg. So what I end up seeing a lot of times is, people will get too far back with this leg, back behind them, which will limit their ability to maximize contact time. You can see here, he does a really good job of landing with his overall weight very far forward. So now he's not going to be, wasting too much time with his foot on the ground. So that makes him very, very efficient. Again, look at this nice stride, extend, pull, and landing in a way where he's very much on the balls of his feet, and also a lot of his weight is forward on each one of those strides, which I think is a great technique thing. I think as you see it again really good here. Boom, just such a great ability to see some excellent technique and being able to really improve as a runner. Now, this is something that we've talked about a good amount of times whenever I've done some Usain Bolt breakdowns, is, he also does a weird kind of like lateral hitch in his movement. I would say, I know he has some scoliosis, so there could be some part of that could be impacting the reason that he does that, but it does also seem that he has one side where he works a little bit more on just pure extension, right? So when his right leg's back, he really arches his back and allows that right leg to get a little bit further back behind. And then as he comes forward with the left leg, now he has a little bit more of like this crunch forward as he's pulling that left leg through, where he doesn't do that as much on the right side. See how his right side, he almost like bends this way more so. He bends over to the side more, where on this side, as he's coming through, he really drives forward with that left leg. So, that could mean that there's some type of difference in the spine range of motion overall, but it does almost seem like he ends up having like a hitch type of a movement during his actual sprint, which probably gives him a little bit more range, again, when he brings that right leg back, and also helps him in trying to drive that left foot forward and through. So this ends up being a little bit more of his stable position, right leg back, left leg forward, and then this side is not as much of his stable position, but probably a little bit more of his range position or his range stride, right? So he has one stride where he's going to get a little bit more range. It'll be this one, where this one he's going to get a little bit more power. Boom, get a little bit more overall force, really drive his body forward, where this one he's really going to try to open up and allow himself to travel a good amount of ways on the step. And so it's interesting to take a note of that, and that, you might want to have one step that ends up being a little bit more of like a range step, but you're really trying to pick up more ground, and you have another step that's a little bit more of a power step based off of how, your body moves and how your body interacts. We could certainly see that Usain Bolt does that, which is, something to be able to build off of. Because of that, I would work in certain type of core exercises and certain types of, range of motion focused exercises, just to make sure that we're able to, address those specific differences on one side compared to the other. And that's why I always say, with this type of work, I think it's super important to be able to get the breakdowns, just because it really helps you connect and understanding, okay, this is how I run as an athlete. These are the muscles that I utilize more. This is the muscles I don't utilize as much, and from there really be able to build out a program that's a little bit more specific to you. I think is the best way to do it, obviously, just because it really allows a track and field athlete to be able to better understand what it is that they need to be working on in order to get the most amount of improvement the fastest. And with track athletes, you guys really got to, as much as, some of you guys might be 14, 15, younger guys, you really want to start moving up pretty quickly within your times, because, every single year it seems like there's new guys coming out that just have these really, really fast times. And so there's always consistent competition, especially in the track world, because it's a whole world competition. It's not just a local competition. So, it's a little bit different. But yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions about getting a speed breakdown, getting part of the speed program, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. I'll have some links below to, set up either phone calls or, if you could try out our 7-day speed program. Either one of those works, and be really, really effective for you in being able to improve your overall performance. All right, let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk soon. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it, and if you did, you can subscribe down below, and that way you can get updates on any of the new videos that we get. Also, if you want to, you can check out some of our other breakdowns for speed and throwing. We have exercises, also jumping mechanics videos, a lot of great stuff within our channel. Hope you enjoy.